Okay. Okay, you focus on me.
Yes.
All right. We're doing a memorial service for my mom and dad here. My mom, uh, gave so much to help my dad, and I came back to the war. My dad didn't get married late in life. He just had a lot of work to do. He held several jobs to get a farm, and then he got married and he got a farm, and he farmed and dairy farmed, and I was born. My dad passed away in 2005. My mom passed away out in 2004. Gonna focus on the Memorial Day part for my dad who went to service and for all the veterans who went to service. And my dad was drafted in World War II. And there's some things on our farm and stuff, and I want to bring it all together here at this part because as a farmer's son, I learned everything from my dad. And I got the steam engine, and I bought the steam engine back before Dad died, but he never got to see it. I bought the toy or whatever, quite a few years before that. That flag is the flag that draped his casket. This shell was a shell that was used in the Army tanks and other stuff. And actually my dad made them shells when he worked at Chevrolet Shell in St. Louis, Missouri. Went to an antique tractor show and he seen that and he bought it. So we use it as a flower vase at home by the flag at home there. And that was one of my dad's prized possessions. And we bring it out here for Memorial Day. Thrashing to Dad was a lot. When my dad went to war, it was my grandpa's time to thrash, so he couldn't take Dad to war. They didn't have a car. They did have a car back then, but he had his uncle to take him to Union Station in St. Louis, and he went off to war then. He said it was kind of lonesome. He said he got on that train and all the mothers and fathers was hugging their kids and girlfriends was kissing everybody, and he said he was by himself. He said he really felt lonesome going to war. And Kevin opened that up, that there thing. So that's part of it. When my dad came home, when my dad went to war, my Uncle Virgil went to war, the two oldest sons, and they all helped at home farming. They all farmed with horses, so Grandpa needed a tractor. His first tractor he bought was a John Deere GP. When Dad came home, he was happy to see it. He worked on it, kept it going for Grandpa, and that's how come we got the GP. It was because of the war. My dad went to ordnance training to Aberdeen Proving Ground where he learned to work on tanks. This tank is here because this was the main tank that he worked on. This here is a Grant tank, and he was land-leased to Britain. He was the first one overseas, and he even wore a British uniform. He was in Egypt. He was a desert rat. He worked on these tanks. They got shot up terribly bad by the Germans. My dad was always mad at the British because they'd stop the tanks to shoot. Apparently these guns had a stabilizer. I think this was a 70 millimeter cannon. There was a 30 millimeter cannon right here. These tanks wasn't powerful enough, so they added this turret cannon on it at that time. They had airplane engines. Dad always worked on them. He told where he had to stand behind them with a fire extinguisher because some of the bottom cylinders would fill up with fuel. These are all stories that's running through my head, and I wanted to put it down on the video part of it because my dad went to Aberdeen training. He was a technician there, and it's also put with this plate here being on this. My dad also was in the other theater of war where they made the invasion. So my dad was in Egypt and all these places of war, and I wanted to express something here. Kevin had a thing for school, and I found basically a commendation that my dad had gotten that I never knew about. And it was a commendation for D-Day here, and I'd like to read this. The service is rendered by you in the launching of the second front, by a service by the ordnance material and the lands of ground troops that gain and beach head on which you will be proud. This is part one. Part two, a soldier never knows the importance of each task that he performs, nor does he realize how the efforts of one individual affects the battle of the world. You may be sure that your everyday performance and contribution to victory and peace. Therefore, it behoves every soldier to be at all times contribute to the least bit, no less than no taught, combining extras of cause a final break in the enemies to establish of a more just world. I thought that was a great commendation that this ordnance officer had. Unfortunately, I can't read his name. But anyhow, this was done June of 1944. And it was made out to Tech 5, Milton, with his number here and stuff. So I just wanted to, appreciate what he did. And one of the reasons I'm doing this, we have these ceremonies and very few people come out here. The American WWII and all the people who do come out here to put this memorial on. And my dad never was in physical combat, but he's seen so many people died, and the bodies, people that's been strafed. Dad came close to everything that could come, in a war, and he came home and they did extraordinary things, in the service. My dad was loyal to his buddies in the service. He served under Patton. I respected him, but he was blood and guts, and that's about as far as that history needs to go. Or for me to comment on. But anyhow, coming back, everyday things, he had to put tanks together under fire, scrounge through other parts to make things work. Still basically using these procedures today in our farming. So basically Memorial Day goes back to every day, on this part. I'm sharing this with you, being on it. My dad served over there, and during the final days of him being over at Germany, before Russia came in to take over Germany, Dad was assigned to a convoy to load up all the trucks at all the chemical plants that the Hitler had, and loaded up all the papers and research, and they loaded up trucks and they took it to the harbor and drove them on the ship to take them to Washington. And as a period of time comes, unfortunately, I'm going to make this part of a awareness of geoengineering. I can't find the information like Dane Wigington can because I don't have the time. I'm busy doing crops. But I did go and research a lot of his stuff, and I find out it's very much true. I strongly suggest that the American people look into this so we don't come back here and fight another war. These ceremonies are here so we don't repeat history. We're supposed to remember what these men went through to save us. If we don't fight this, everything that they fought for will be lost. We won't have another Memorial Day if we let these people keep putting this in the air and destroying our family, our farms, and our world. And we need to stop it now. We don't have much time. It's very important. Even though the sky is blue and clear today, there's been many times that it wasn't. And this fact is real. And my dad was part of that. And I never realized it until I put the dots together that this has been going on since World War II. We need to fight this. We need to save our families. We need to save our country, our world, our nature. Everything this green grass is affected by this. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.